Hi there, this is MC Mura, and although this is typically a fighting game based channel, Ninja Gaiden 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I have been in it so many times on Master Ninja and higher difficulties, played all of the different versions, and now with the release of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, finally Ninja Gaiden lives again. I know that people are gonna be trying the game, picking it up, so I wanted to give you a guide on how you can actually play the game. Sure, you can button mash, rely on ultimate techniques, and that can get you by on the lower difficulties and early on in the game, but if you do that, if that is your crutch, you're gonna struggle a lot on the later parts of the game and on the higher difficulties. The one thing above all that you wanna get down first with Ninja Gaiden to have a good experience is knowing how to deal with the camera, because it can be problematic. I'm gonna be using the PlayStation notations. Pretty much whenever you're pressing the R1 button, the game will focus back to Ryu. You wanna constantly keep it in a position to be able to see what is going on. This game is hectic, there's a lot of movement, so make sure that you're constantly adjusting the camera so that you're aware of your surroundings. This is vital, and you will need it because enemies in this game are extremely aggressive. They're gonna hunt you and they're gonna come after you hard. So what you need to do is learn how to block. By pressing the L1 button, you will assume a blocking stance and you will get to block the incoming attacks, and this is a great way to keep yourself safe. However, if you're blocking some heavy attacks or even some projectiles, you will notice that your character will reel back, and this can leave you vulnerable and open. And if the enemies notice that you are blocking too much, they will start grabbing you. Typically grabs have huge tills, but if you're new to the game, maybe you will not identify the animation, but actually enemies going for grabs is good because they leave themselves open, and this is one of the best way to punish them. But in general, you don't want to block too much, you don't want to stay in block stun too much. You're a ninja, you gotta keep moving, and thankfully Ryu have a sick dash. You press the block button and tap the analog in whatever direction and Ryu will dash towards it. And the good thing about this dash is that it got invul frames. The enemy can't hit you during the dash, and you can use that to force their attacks to whiff and then get a punish on them. You can even dash out of block. When you're holding block and you're blocking an enemy attack, just block and then tap the analog in whatever direction and Ryu will dash. You will see a blue after image. This is how you know that you're doing it right. A lot of enemies will commit to strings, so block one attack, dash out, force them to whiff and get a whiff punish on them, fighting game terms. Ryu also have access to counter techniques. When you're blocking, press square or triangle, light or heavy counter, and these are really good to get the enemy off of you, especially if you're going for long hit stun combos. This can be really good. Most of the times you will knock them down and then you can relaunch them. They will be vulnerable, relaunch them and go for that amazing Izuna drop. In this game, generally the best strategy is to keep moving, identify which targets are the most lethal. Typically you wanna go after the wizards, the guys with rocket launchers, characters that can attack you from range. You wanna stun them with one of the techniques that I'm gonna explain later, and then Izuna drop, finish them off. Keep taking out the most dangerous targets until you complete the entire mob. That is generally the strategy that will let you have the most success in this game. And one of the best ways of doing so, one of the best ways to stun enemies is using the command jump techniques. Pretty much you're pressing the square and X button and the character will do a command jump. You don't have to target the enemy whatsoever. You or the playable character, all of them got this. They will jump towards the enemy, the closest opponent, pretty much. And out of that jump, there are a number of options that you can execute. The most basic one is to step on the enemies. You're pretty much pressing jump again when you are just about at their head level. Ryu will just step over them and notice that the enemy will be stunned a little bit. This gives you a free combo and a free ultimate charge. I will talk about it later when we get to that part, but this is one of the best ways to crowd control, isolate enemies, leave them open for attacks. Another technique that is insane in this game is the guillotine throw. Out of the command jump, you press square and X again, and this is like a command grab. All characters, I think with the exception of Rachel, can do this in this game. It knocks down the enemies. Ryu, if they're near a wall, can throw them at the wall, have very high high dismemberment chance. Other characters will knock them down, leaving them open for like a real launch combo that can deal massive damage. Guillotine is insane in Sigma 2 or like Black. The final technique is the flying swallow. After the square and X, you just press triangle and Ryu will like dive kick towards the opponent. This is insane because it have very high dismemberment chance, and the more upgraded your weapon is, the more reps you can do out of it. And the great thing is, even if you didn't like dismember an enemy with it, typically it will stun them, allowing you to land and then do a follow-up combo on them while they're stunned. Flying swallow is insane in this game. And speaking of insane, obviously ultimate techniques are extremely powerful. Auto combos that deal massive damage to the opponents. Most of the fully charged ultimate techniques can finish most of the enemies in the game. But the issue is they require a lot of startup. You have to assume that stance, you can hold it for like a good 2 seconds or so to get the full thing to come out. However, there is a secret tech in Ninja Gaiden where if you are charging, as soon as Ryu feet touches the ground from a jump, as soon as you're landing from a jump, you will get the charge faster, right? You're pretty much like skipping some of the initial startup frames. Remember when I talked about the enemy step? Well, this is where these techniques become ridiculous. You pretty much step on the enemy, technically you are landing from airborne frames, so you get your charged technique to come out faster. This works in conjunction with the essence system. Essence is pretty much the currency, the yellow orbs that drop whenever you beat an enemy. The thing is, you can absorb these to get an instant charge technique. However, if you're doing it raw, the characters still have to go through the initial startup frames. But if you're using it out of the enemy step, you can get these ultimate techniques almost instantly, and you will look extremely cool doing so. So you wanna finish off an enemy, hold block so that you're not absorbing the orb, enemy hop step over someone, charge ultimate, bam, you got an instant ultimate technique that can deal massive damage to a group of enemies because some weapons have large area of effect. What do you guys think? They're convinced? I hope so. If you like the video but you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Over 70% of my viewers aren't, so you get to see more of me and my friends, the EX-Men. And yes, like in my canon, Magneto is I recruited him. Excuse the silliness and enjoy the rest of your video. I've spoken so much about like needing to stun the enemies, about needing to leave them open for a combo. So which combo I want to be using? Well, typically you would want to use the Izuna drops. All of the characters got variants to it. Typically with the dragon sword, either square triangle will launch them, or just forward and triangle will launch the enemy. And once you're there, it's 2 squares and then triangle. With some practice, you will get the hang of it. Don't button mash, get used to the actual timing and flow of this move, and you will want to use it because it deals splash damage to the area where you land. It will let you combo an enemy while being airborne, so you're not really open for attacks from the other surrounding mobs as well, and it looks insane. It's one of the most stylish things I have ever seen in a combat action game. It's amazing. We all love the Izuna drop. One final technique that is kind of important, but you can get by without it, is the Shuriken Cancelling. Whenever you're doing a combo, say with Ryu, I'm doing square, square, triangle, and then I'm holding block. Ryu have to complete the entire animation before I can move, right? Before I can assume that blocking stance. However, if I said do square, square, triangle, and then press Shuriken, the Shuriken will cancel the final hit of that combo, and then it allows me to start moving faster. There is like way less recovery, and with some strings it can be really apparent. This is one of the best ways to get your attacks to come out while also maintaining good recovery frames. It can make a big difference in some bosses, but it's like a really advanced technique, and I really think you can get by without relying it too much, but it's good to know, it's good to use. Obviously, what is left is Ninpo. Ninpo is pretty much a magic. You will want to use it if you're stuck, if you're in a pinch. Ninpo can be really good to knock down enemies, so that now you have essence that you will be using for the follow-up charged techniques, which will like then knock down more enemies, then you get more essence, and the loop continues. Pretty much what you want to do in Ninja Gaiden 2, the meta of the game, is you want to isolate an enemy that is really dangerous, you want to finish them off, they will drop essence, hop over other enemies or like stun them somehow, charge an ultimate technique and deal massive damage. This is the flow, this is how you will wanna play the game to have like the most success, especially at the highest difficulties. In full frames, movement and learning the flow of the combat, learning the animation of the enemies are the core parts of this game. I know this is more like maybe like intermediate, higher level kind of concepts, but trust me, if you do what I'm saying, you will flow through the game very easily. That's pretty much as meta as it's gonna get. And that's about it for today's video. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave a like or a comment. It helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.